Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Respecting the Beer. My name is Gary Arndt, and with me again are the usual suspects. We have the Okie, whose relatives left Oklahoma. Most of them went to California, but one of them came up here to Wisconsin, Mr. Bobby Fleshman. And, of course, the professor, Allison McCoy, Ph.D., and back for the returning champion to the show, Ben Fogle from the Appleton Beer Factory. We've talked a lot in previous episodes about things that have gone bad, mistakes that were made.
Good content.
And yeah, I mean, we could talk about things that went well, but let's face it, people want to hear about the disasters. And brewing has an opportunity for a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a batch gone bad. It could be a mechanical failure. So what are some, in the experience you've had brewing now, it's been a decade?
Yeah.
More than that. What are some of the biggest failures that you've had as a brewer?
Yeah, you definitely remember mostly the failures and not so much the successes, I feel like. I don't know if you would feel the same or not.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of golf. Like, I only remember actually shooting
shots.
a good shot in golf.
True.
Yeah.
For us over at ABF, and in brewing in general, there's so many systems that all come together that hopefully make a good final product. There's a lot of opportunities for failure. I was just reminiscing let's do one between the two of us. So it was last year,
Was it
right?
last summer?
Yeah.
I'm looking through pictures and I can't find it.
It was the beer. I brewed the beer. It's basically our anniversary beer, if you will. I brewed it on the same day as we brewed our first beer at ABF in 2013. Who was it? Man, anyway.
Yeah.
On my birthday, which just happens to be on my birthday.
Oh, when is your birthday?
August 24th.
Oh,
So
okay.
then,
I'm in
yeah.
June.
That is my birthday.
Is it really?
Yes.
That's so funny.
Aw. Cue the
There was a
There you go.
1
bird
in
sound.
365 chance of that happening.
Crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
The White House burned down on that day,
Oh.
and
Oh,
Mount Vesuvius erupted and destroyed Pompeii. So it's a great day.
Yeah. You got to have a
Tomorrow on
lot.
Everything Everywhere Daily will be a whole thing on that date.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
So we get a call.
Ben was born.
So I actually, okay, no.
Oh,
I
no.
brewed it on
Oh, I
that
see
day.
it now. Oh, okay.
It didn't happen. This didn't happen until
It was under pressure.
September
it was
5th.
under pressure.
Yeah.
So not too much later. But anyway, I'm in the brewery in September 5th, and I just happened to walk past this fermenter of light lager that I had brewed on the 24th of August, and a little stream of beer is just
beer.
Yeah, it's just running down
Yeah.
like not. It's more than a drip. It's definitely a stream. It's not a gusher. But I'm like, what's going on here? How is this even? And it was only on when it didn't leak up until then, which is
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It only started leaking when pressure. And I think that day I had capped it, so now I was generating pressure.
And loggers need to sit a while, so that leak means money. It means volume.
It was significant. It was significant. So I obviously I do the first things, try to tighten the door. I'm like, okay, well, apparently it just needs to be tightened more. No, that actually made it worse.
Oh.
So then it's like, oh crap, this is really bad. Put more pressure on it. Nope, that made it worse too. So now I'm freaking out. I don't have anywhere to go. I just happen to not have anywhere to go with it in my brewery. Like literally, I could have kegged some beers off and done a whole bunch of other stuff probably to make some room for it. But I texted Bobby quick, hey, do you have any open tanks over there?
And we did, and we didn't. Yeah, we were planning to clear a tank, and we did get it. We just advanced it to make it happen. We just kegged it off, and then I think we did a quick sanitation on the tank. And
Yeah, it happened to be a lager.
it might have been a filter one even. I can't recall, but yeah.
So one, what was the problem?
Okay. In the end, I think just the
Was it a
seal
seal?
on the seal ended. It was original seal. It ended up failing, and
Man, we could talk about technical.
And I've got the video
Challenges
of
of
it, which
seals,
doesn't help
yeah.
for a podcast. But
Oh, that
Gary,
is
what does that look like?
It looks like it's like peeing down someone's leg. It's just
it's about that rate.
Yeah,
probably.
pretty good
Yeah.
rate. But then I've got the picture of we've got the hose going across the alleyway.
that was going to be my next question. How did you get the
Yeah.
beer from that tank?
It's too bad we didn't have a pipe
yours?
bridge.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pipe
that would have
nice.
been
Yeah.
that would have had its own. But anyway, we have two 50-foot hoses that we've had for a couple years now for moving beer back and forth, as we've talked about with 10 paces and such in the past. And we quick sanitized those, strung them across the alley, and moved the beer over to
Of course, we have
tank.
the forklift is parked in the middle, so it keeps people from driving
Right,
over
right,
the
right.
pipes or the hoses.
which it has been driven over once, which is really disappointing.
Yikes.
But also, so your fermenters are smaller than
Yeah.
than mine.
So we diverted a few barrels to our pilot fermenter, smaller fermenters, and we just did a new beer on the fly. There's such a thing as an Italian Pilsner, I forget what we call it, West Coast Pilsner.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a lager base. It may not be exactly how you would build it from the ground up, but it's what
To
we
be
did.
intentional.
Yeah. So if we're going to divert it, let's do something else with
Then I
it. So we
have
made
this
up a
picture.
beer in like 10 minutes. We made up another beer.
So it was
Yeah.
it worked out. I was super grateful. We saved most of the beer.
Yeah. I think we lost a barrel in the end. It was all
Probably.
said and done.
But yeah, otherwise I
Made a
would've been-
social post out of it.
Yeah.
I have a picture of Ben kissing Bobby on the cheek.
Oh, and
As a
it's in
thank
our
you.
tank. It was in Manuel. Looks like if that's the right tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think so.
Manuel is one of the characters of our tank, the characters from Faulty Towers. And he's looking down on us with very Manuel type
Is it right to
expression.
pour out a beer for lost beer? Would that be defeating it? I mean,
Yeah, that's a great question. That's our disaster story.
it happened.
Yeah, we dumped beers, and that's like
Oh,
pouring
I even
beer
have
up
a
for
picture
itself.
of the. I think this was the. We had nowhere to
Oh,
go
the
with
barrel.
Extra.
That's the barrel. Yeah, there it went.
that. So
If anyone's keeping score, that's what? How many? 250 pints or so.
that's so sad. We had nowhere else to put it.
Yeah. Well, we saved a lot of it, so that
Yeah.
was awesome.
Mhm.
And then I bought all new gaskets for the fermenters after that. So
It's insidious. Seals are insidious that when they leak. You're like,
what are you
can't-
gonna do?
yeah, you don't even, sometimes you don't know. Like you said, bad seat, could be a micro tear.
I'm sure it was, but I couldn't find one either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Afterwards, so I don't know.
Yeah. And
So-
cranking them down, like you say, makes it worse. And
Yep.
it's all the stuff.
So that was a good one. Going way further back, like 11 years further back, we were reminiscing about us starting our system up for the first time. So as a reminder, we've designed and literally fabricated our entire 20-barrel brew system, including the steam powered heating component of it, because my dad's a steam fitter. So of course we had to put our own steam system in.
He did ours too.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little small.
And our glycol system. Yeah.
So we were firing up the brewery for the first time, doing what we call SUDS, which designated startup designated systems, I think is
Startup.
something
Yeah.
like that.
specialized underwater demolition system.
Like it. Well, hopefully the demo's up far, but yeah.
Yeah, not underwater. Anyway, we get this all. We're firing it up, putting heat to it. It's got water in it. Realize too late, but quickly, that one of the tanks was completely capped. So that means there was no way to relieve the pressure from it without taking a clamp off of one of the trichlor clamps off of. There was no valves on it or anything. It was just a dumb oversight. Trying to do it too fast, probably. And since we had essentially created a bomb by accident and I didn't know how much pressure was on it. Also was the scary part.
Your dad has placed bets on what those tanks will hold pressure
Yeah,
wise.
which his are way higher than what I would
Oh man.
rate them at. But
That's terrifying.
so I got up on the ladder quick and up on top of the tank, which is at our ceiling height, which is basically like 22 feet probably, and quickly backed off one of the clamps up there, and it sounded like a gun going off, and the cap flew off of there and hit we have a corrugated metal ceiling, which has got to be 16 gauge. It's not light stuff because you can pour concrete on it. That's what you're supposed to do. And it definitely made a dent in the ceiling. So that was pretty memorable from way back in the day. But
What sort of pressures are we talking about?
well, I don't know. I mean,
It was It was
High-
steaming
high
inside
pressure.
Right.
the tank.
We were boiling water.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yep.
So yeah, kind of unknown, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd be totally guessing.
Well, if it's
But-
230, it's probably at least 15 pounds.
I suppose.
Anyway, yeah, enough.
On an 1.5-inch circle.
Yeah, and it's steam. Steam
It
is
moves quickly.
Yeah, steam is the most dangerous, most common cause for injuries in the brewery. So add that to the fact that there's pressure behind it. Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, I mean, every day brings a new challenge, it feels like, especially when you start adding like canning machines.
Mm.
Can you think of any?
Oh, yeah,
Sure,
like
well, we had-
pallets full of leakers.
Oh.
That's happened.
Well, and then there's the contamination on the.
Oh, the filter. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It
Before.
took y'all a while.
That
to
was more,
diagnose
we
what
were
that is.
definitely getting the impact of that more. We share a filter. We didn't talk about that, but we share a plate
Oh, yeah.
and frame filter. And they're
Tank-
pretty
tank steam.
substantial. Yeah. So we were working on, basically, it was near the beginning when we started using that filter. And yeah, we finally ruled out everything else and determined that we were getting a contamination from that filter.
Yeah, there was a contamination in only some of our
Yeah, putting all the data points together.
cans that we had to do. That was the recall that we had to do?
Yeah, we had to do a recall at some point. Made us really up our game and learn how to take that thing apart and bake
that's
it. I
where
built a tank
the
just to soak
expertise
it.
back and forth. I mean, both of y'all helped diagnose what was actually happening with that.
Well, it helped to be able to start to try to isolate. 'Cause
Yeah.
we were both using the thing,
Yeah.
so we had different kind of experiences, right?
We would have a batch that was fine if it was or wasn't filtered, and it's all
Okay,
these
so what do we
things.
do different? That's something that really stings though too. Like, so in my case with the fermenter leaking, it was like halfway through the fermentation, right? So it's not finished beer yet. With the filter
Packaged
problem, you're
beer.
like, you've
Yeah.
put all of this energy into the damn beer, and
Yeah.
now it's bad.
And we have a quality program. We're religious about. We have a can library. We're religious about tasting it at different intervals, so we know we have a problem. We incubate these samples and we correlate that to a time on the shelf, et cetera. And we have a pretty sophisticated tracking system and distribution. We know where all of our shit is for the most part.
So at least you can try to
React
before,
but you
yeah.
would be more proactive. Anyway, that's, this gets into the whole game of being a professional brewery. You got to be you're a packaging facility. Packaging is an enormously complex job to do the right way, involving the quality and the recall strategies. You never want to have them, but you need to have one in place. It keeps me awake at night and it's moving me forward. So these are not my disaster stories, though. These are your disaster stories.
Well, we got
We have our own.
Again, we share so much. Well, okay. So just recently, actually, I tipped like an entire pallet of your cans over.
Yeah, that's fun.
Empty cans.
Wait, what? I didn't hear
That
about
sucked.
this.
I saw a picture
There's
of
a
that.
reason you didn't.
Oh, that's fair.
I remember a pallet of full 18 or 19 layers coming to me from one of our local suppliers, and they opened the back door of the truck, and every can was on the floor. And I don't know if you've ever seen 7,000 cans of just aluminum cans empty, just laying across the bed of a truck, but it can fill up an entire 53-foot bed of a truck. It's a lot of cans.
They bought those.
What
Yeah,
about
I closed the door.
brewing the six? Have you ever had a batch either that just technically came out bad, or like an experiment you did? It's like, wow, and it just didn't sell. Like for whatever, it's like, all right, we're not doing that again.
Lava lamp.
Well, yeah. So
Let's hope
okay,
you never
just
intended
to
that.
put a pin in that. So lava lamp,
The cheese curd beer.
the cheese curd beer in clear cans. That was extra Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
So, which wasn't bad beer, but then we put cheese in it.
So
I've definitely had batches that, are not what they're supposed to be. Never any like total dumpers. There are a lot of options that you can do to adapt that sort of thing into, something else to make,
Well, and as to the quality, I think your dad wants to open a distillery at some point, right?
Okay, yeah.
If we had a still, never mind if the beer comes out bad. If it gets old, what do you do with it? How long do you let it sit? Well, you can just take this stuff and you can just distill it and have a spirit that you can use to age in barrel or whatever, make a whiskey. I think there's something there, for any brewer to be considering.
If that's it, could we just sell it to a distiller?
And there is a partnership available or possibility there. Yeah.
So for all our distiller friends listening out
Yeah.
But although we don't have beer that we have, I mean, our beer doesn't go bad.
No.
Well, we're getting really good at keeping it fresh. And that's a whole supply
Timing
chain thing.
Yeah. But there are, just to expand on that a little bit, there's definitely big regional breweries that open their own distilleries.
Just so they can just
that was definitely a reason. But then they're also making new products and making money for that too. But so we can, if that would happen to us in the past, it would be like, all right, well, how can we modify this beer now to create something new and tasty and sellable? So that's happened a couple times. We actually, a good short story that I recall is we did a Juicy McJuice Face as our hazy IPA.
By the way, let's pause. That's the best.
Juicy McJuice
That's
Face.
the best craft beer name in this state. I don't think there's a better one. People love to order.
I think
that.
Something Amber's pretty good.
Something Amber is another
absolutely.
good one.
Juicy
Yeah,
McJuice
but
Face.
Very clever.
But they're so fun for people to
That's-
order.
Came from Bodie McBoatface.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know that, I don't know, we can just say Google it. But I guess short story on the name. Back when juicy, hazy New England IPAs were coming out as a fad, I thought it was really dumb. But eventually one of my partners was like, we gotta make some of this beer. And
I had my heels dug in forever.
Me too.
Yeah.
But we ended up making it. Of course, it was good. We had to put a name on it. So I as a bit of a middle finger to the style, which I still believe to be a trend at the time, which obviously it is not as fully integrated.
Just like put it there with the internet.
It's true.
Things that are
internet's
trending.
just a thing.
Yeah. I think I came up with the term Juicy McJuice Face, of course, in reference to Bodie McBoatface. And sure enough, it is one of our best sellers. People definitely buy it just because of the name is funny.
It's also good.
But they come back for it.
And hazy. Yeah.
Well, once you have it, it's good.
Although we were at a brewery, a beer bar down in Alabama over the holidays, and we found that Bobby just wanted a clear IPA, and he actually had to ask for, do you have a clear?
No.
IPA?
I only did ask for clear after I got 2. So they had like 7 IPAs on the menu, 4 of which were marked hazy, 3 of which weren't. So I go for one because I'm more of a clear beer fan. So I grabbed the first of the not marked ones, and it turns out it was hazy too. And then I just said, well, that must be an exception. And then I grabbed the second one, and it was hazy. So, and then before I grabbed the third one, I said, are any of your beers not hazy? He's like, oh, dude, I think maybe we had a cold IPA here at some point.
Getting cold.
But that's where we are.
IPA's
hazy
going,
is a synonym now for IPA.
So their beer menu consisted of things labeled hazy and things not
that
labeled
is
hazy.
essentially
But they were all hazy.
what it
hazy,
was.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, not to piss on the state of Alabama, but I had a hard time finding
can
a
piss on
clear
the
No
state.
one's
IPA.
ever done that before.
But it was a good beer bar. But
that is
yeah,
the state
it
of things, though.
Yeah,
it is like
really is.
finding a non-hazy
Well,
IPA.
people they don't order hazy. They expect hazy. It's like
Right.
It's
Then if it's
weird.
not, then it's like, what is this?
Yeah.
Well, to finish that story, I was making a batch of that, and I had a crazy stuck mash.
Which means
The runoff during the lautering process,
The rinsing of the grain.
yeah.
Yeah.
just became unbearably slow to the point where the mash was in the lauter tun for,
too long.
like I'm going to say 9 to 10 hours.
And there are enzymes at work.
There's all these things happening,
oxidation.
right?
Yeah.
And just the heat load.
Yeah. Thermal load drives the oxidation.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can obviously speak way better to it. But the result was that the color ended up being, primarily that was my problem with it. The color ended up being too dark for what should be our, pretty popular Juicy McJuice Face. And so I think you suggested, okay, pivot. No, you did. Because of course
boy,
I
where's
reached
this
out to
going?
Bobby right away, like, oh, I'm having this problem and XYZ.
Is that one that you
Well,
made it?
the West Coast.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we're making lemonade from lemons, and so we pivoted. You said try these different, more West Coasty hops for dry
Gotcha.
hopping. I filtered it, which I lost just a buttload of beer.
Yeah,
from that
that
'cause
was not a good
turns out
suggestion.
hazy's. Well, no, it was because the end result was actually I really, really liked it, and
Yeah.
people really liked
Tough
it.
to
but
filter that out, though.
no, I probably dumped like a quarter of it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Hazies are not meant to be
Filtered.
filtered.
I know breweries that make hazies on the regular that they filter out and then they dump in haze positive particles.
That seems
Like,
so
what?
ridiculous.
Well, it's more stable.
Stability.
Oh, that makes sense.
Haze positive particles.
Yep, that's now a thing.
The
too.
Haz-a-tron.
Haze juice.
So like the
good.
standard model.
Haz-a-tron is a really good name
That
for
is a
beer.
good name. Yep.
I'm writing that down. Even if we don't make hazies, that's
Nope.
got to exist.
So, that was more of a.
What did y'all end up calling it? Or what?
I think we just called it West Coast Juicy.
Okay.
But then we.
Because these are happy accidents that happen, and then we normally try not to repeat them.
No, I learned from it.
Right. Except our stepchild. That was a
that
happy
became
accident.
a thing. Yep.
Go figure.
Yeah.
We're heavily into music, right? As we've talked about in the past. We sponsor a couple music festivals, including one in downtown Appleton here called Ice Dance. And so as part of that, we have a lot of our beer there, and that became also the Ice Dance beer. And we called that Juicy McIce Face.
Just leaning into it.
Yeah.
You're the next.
It was
you're the next
perfect.
Voodoo Ranger.
It sounds
of
like
this
a
series.
weird mix of like Norwegian and Irish culture. Ice dance.
And it's just because it's in February.
That's
So
It's a Baltic collaboration.
yeah, you're not dancing. No one's dancing on ice unless it's.
This bar in Alabama, send them a 6-pack of 547.
I should.
Just like
I
how you do
should.
it.
Yeah. Instructions included.
Ugh.
All right, well, that is going to wrap up this episode of Respecting the Beer. Make sure, if you are listening, to subscribe on a podcast player so you never miss an episode, and join the Facebook group and the Patreon, where you can get all sorts of neat stuff and updates. And until next time, please remember to respect the beer.